Gosh, I've been inspired by so many people. After September 11th, I was so heartbroken as to what happened to our country on that day. And I started volunteering wherever I could to support many organizations and individuals and efforts that were out there trying to give back, trying to do something positive. On one of my trips to Iraq, I met a man named John Vigiano. He's a retired New York City firefighter, former Marine. Two of his sons were killed on September 11th, 2001. One was a firefighter, the other was a police officer. He lost both sons. Yet he has devoted his life to giving back and to helping other people. He's spending a lot of his time on charitable work. He's a true inspiration, and he said to me one time, he said, you know, when I was down at ground zero and I was digging through the rubble, week after week after week, looking for my sons, thousands and thousands of people from all over the world came to ground zero to just try to pitch in and help, handing out food, handing out water, doing whatever they could to support the first responders and the contractors that were in there digging through that rubble. And so he said to me, he said, I think much more good came from that terrible event than evil, because he saw a lot of good on that day. And this is a man who lost two of his sons. He's just one of the inspirational people that motivate me every day to go out there and try to do a little bit more.
Thank you.
You bet.
And what is it different that you like to make to inspire younger generation?
Pardon me?
And what is different that you like to make to inspire younger generation?
Well, I'll tell you, I just got back from a trip down to the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. This is the national museum that tells the story of World War II. And I have a program at my foundation called Soaring Valor. And what Soaring Valor does, we take World War II veterans to this museum in New Orleans. And we take them to the museum, take them through the museum, and we record them, and we preserve their oral histories on video, and they're used and passed on from generation to generation. On some of our trips, we include high school students, and we pair up high school students, each one with a World War II veteran. So you have a 16-year-old traveling with a 93-year-old, learning about what happened to the world during that terrible conflict all those years ago. It's an education that the students will never, ever forget. And we just returned from one of those trips, and those students were inspired. They see service in a way that they never thought about before. They understand what happened during that period of time back in the 1930s and 40s and how it applies to them today, because we all live differently because of what happened back then and the fact that freedom won at that time. So giving these students an education that they will never forget is something very, very positive and something I believe in wholeheartedly. I want people to know the cost of freedom, what it takes to preserve it, and I want them to think about the men and women who do that for us.
What does being the Grand Marshal mean to you?
Well, this is a great tradition, obviously, being a part of this event in 2018 and looking at the massive list of impressive people that have been the Grand Marshal over the years. That's very meaningful to me. I was very humbled and honored when they called. I started to look at the list of Grand Marshals. There's some of my heroes in there, Hank Aaron, Jimmy Stewart. I mean, the list goes on and on. Buzz Aldrin. I mean, it's such an impressive list. And to be a part of that is kind of shocking and surprising and very humbling. I'm very touched by it.
Thank you.
If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch more coverage from MUSE.